Am I the a-hole for uninviting my grandmother from my wedding after she gave her vintage dress to my dad's affair partner? My grandma has a gorgeous vintage wedding dress. It couture, really cool without looking dated, and she is okay with it being altered or modernized. She mentioned a few times in passing when I was a kid that as the oldest girl I had dibs on it. We aren't super close because she was the mother-in-law from hell to my mom, but she is big on passing stuff down, so I just assumed it would always be there. We had a family friend Ella. It is kind of complicated, but my grandma had some type of romantic relationship, think long-term paid mistress, with Ella's dad and was a big part of Ella's growing up. Ella and my dad hated each other. My grandma always loved her like a daughter and she was always around though long past the relationship with her dad ending. Ella and my dad had an inappropriate relationship my entire life. They used to hate each other and they were so immature about it. Then when I got older I could see the way they fought was kind of changing and there was some tension. Then they became friends. Eventually they were both cheating on their spouses. It got to the point that he was pretty much living with her at another house and just showing up occasionally to keep up appearances. I think his biggest hesitation was that me and my siblings hated Ella. 2 years ago, he told my mom he couldn't live a lie anymore and he was in love with Ella and thought he might have been their whole marriage. He admitted he only married my mom due to societal pressure and because she would be a good mom. He actually broke down crying. My mom had always kind of known, but obviously fell apart. I'm trying to come around because I've never seen my dad this happy but I still can't stand her. Currently we are both planning weddings and I found out my grandma gave the dress to Ella. I asked how she could choose her over family and she told me. Ella is literally on the level of a child to her and if she had to choose she would choose her. I said fine, don't come. My dad is now mad and says I'm being childish. He is saying that I'm too young to understand but everyone is going to gossip, so I need to re-invite my grandmother. He is willing to pay for my dress but says that I should get that Ella and my grandma have a special bond. Not the a-hole. Now your dad is afraid of gossip? Not your problem. Your grandmother told you her choice, Ella over you. This is your wedding. You should only have people there who love and support you. Your grandmother doesn't. Damn. Your family is fricked up. But it's her dress and, regardless of how you feel about Ella, and her father and what he did to your mother, your grandmother, per your own admission, loved her like a daughter. Unlike your own mother. So you're the a-hole. It's her dress and she can loan/give it to whomever she damn well feels like giving it to. Am I the a-hole for deciding to separate our finances just because my wife refused to buy a pair of earrings for my daughter? My wife and I have one daughter from a previous marriage each. Mine is called Pen, 15 female, and hers Amy, 17 female. We've been married for 10 years now. Our finances are joint because we don't care for money. She makes 70-80K and I make 180K to 200K per year. She's in charge of our finances. My wife has the weird fixation on having the kids earn their stuff, and while I agree, both of our daughters are well behaved, good students and kind, I don't see why they have to earn every single thing daily. For example, if my daughter is working in the kitchen at night, and goes to sleep without putting her laptop away because she'll work again in the morning, then my wife decides that she can't eat anything sweet that day. I've voiced, with better words, that I find it stupid. Same thing goes for her daughter. She's prone to forget things easily and if she doesn't remember to put away this or that thing, my wife removes her phone or tablet. Yesterday was my day off and I stayed back home resting while my wife and our kids went out to buy my mother-in-law's Mother's Day gift. Around 5 p.m. my daughter came to my room and said that my wife bought Amy a necklace, and when she asked for a pair of earrings she loved, my wife refused because the night before she stayed up until late watching Netflix when she knows she can't do it. This isn't the first time my wife refuses to buy my daughter things and honestly, it boils my blood. My daughter is a really good kid. I work hard to make sure my family has every or most of the things they want just for my wife to tell them no because they are kids being kids. When my wife came into our room I was honest. I said that her rule was utterly stupid and I was done putting it up with that I don't particularly like her buying one thing for a girl while the other had nothing, and that until she accepts to attend therapy with me and fix this problem, our money will be taken care of separately and the joint account will be for house and emergency matters only. This means she now has to pay half of the utilities and some other things. She didn't like it because her money will be cut short and implied I was financially abusing her by doing this for a pair of earrings. She went to her parents and my father-in-law called me soon after. He said I was an a-hole and that it was my obligation to provide for my family. Not the a-hole. Mainly because you offered couples therapy as a way to work on the problem. Also because your wife isn't disciplining your respective daughters, she is just being mean. Everybody in the world forgets things, even your wife. A gentle reminder is sufficient for that. Watching Netflix too late, yeah, find me a teenager who doesn't. She is just picking on them. I did notice, too, that you stated you would still put enough in the joint account to cover the bills and household expenses, so no, you are not financially abusing anybody. Keep trying for therapy, your kids need help. Splitting accounts in a way that makes her worse off, as a reaction to a disagreement makes you look very bad. I wouldn't call it financial abuse, but I see why someone could think that it might. You already have two massive issues. Your wife hands out seemingly random punishments and rewards based on how the daughters pleased or displeased her. This is bad parenting, and is doing your daughters a disfavor. You disagree with your wife about the punishments and rewards used for parenting, and cannot have a productive discussion to address this. Your decision to split the accounts, instead of solving one of these issues, introduces a third issue. That doesn't solve anything, it makes things worse. You are right that you need couples or family therapy. If she refuses, you need to find another way to address the issues. If you want to change the accounts to a setup that you feel is fairer, and gives you more financial freedom, that absolutely makes sense. But don't do so as a punishment. Everyone sucks here. Am I the a-hole for telling my biological sisters I don't want to meet our bio parents? I, 30 female, am a Chinese woman who was adopted from mainland China when I was a baby and grew up in the UK. I grew curious of my roots and if I had any family out there, so I took a 23andMe test. I found 4 full sisters through this test. I'm the oldest. My sisters are 29, 28, 24 and 20. The 3 middle sisters are in America and the youngest is in Germany. We have kept in contact via the internet and have even met in person twice before COVID started. I have 2 brothers I grew up with who are my parents' biological sons, and as far as I'm concerned they and my parents are my true family, but I have grown close to my biological sisters as we understand each other a lot. What my parents know of my birth story is that I was found in an alleyway in a box. My sisters were found relatively the same way from what they know, though they were left outside of buildings in public areas, so I'm a bit more bitter than they are about how we were abandoned, as I was left out of the way where I could have been missed. We recently got contacted by a new family member found by the test, an 18-year-old full brother who lives in France with our bio parents. Apparently they moved there later in life. My biological sisters are excited by this and eager to meet them. They want the 5 of us to fly out together to meet our brother and family. I've told them I won't stop then, but I have no interest in meeting the couple who clearly kept trying to have a boy and abandoned 5 daughters we know of, reminding them there could be more we don't know about who haven't used 23andMe. They feel I'm being unreasonable in this and I should at least go to meet our brother. I'm fine meeting him one day but not with them there, and he and I have been exchanging emails for now. I know they want the 5 of us to go out as a united front in this, and me not wanting to go is disheartening for them, but I honestly feel bitter in regards to this whole situation. Not the a-hole. They want to go, you do not. That's fine on both sides. They have no business pushing you to go meet bio family. No a-holes here. Your sisters aren't wrong for wanting all of you to be a united front when confronting your parents, but you're also not wrong for not wanting to meet the parents who didn't want you. And hey, at least you're open to meeting your brother. Your bio parents suck, but none of you girls are the a-holes. Am I the a-hole for wearing a matching workout set to my stepdaughter's college graduation? My stepdaughter graduated college, so my husband, myself, and our kids, the ones we have together, traveled to watch the ceremonies, take her to dinner, give her gifts, and spend time with her since she will be all over during the summer with her friends and mom's side before she starts grad school in the fall. We had to fly in to see her, so I was wearing a comfy matching workout set, in her school colors to celebrate, on the flight, and had a dress and heels in my carry-on to change into before the ceremony. Unfortunately, we had a delayed flight and things were very hectic and we barely got there in time for the graduation, and our kids wanted to stop and pick out flowers for her. My young son got very sick, and with all the chaos, and taking care of the kids, and getting there with the traffic, I never ended up changing because it completely slipped my mind and I have zero idea how. I think I was just very exhausted. My stepdaughter was very upset and was very warm to her dad and half-siblings, but was cold with me. I asked her privately what was wrong and she told me she was furious with how disrespectful I was with my clothing. People were dressed kind of casually because the big ceremony was outdoors in the football stadium, and that she wanted nice pictures with everyone dressed up. She said if she were my real kid I would have never done what I had done. She also told her dad that I was banned from future events of hers because she knows I will be a terrible person and wear sweatpants to her wedding. I apologized and tried to explain what had happened and that I was very proud of her and was very sorry she felt like an afterthought. I told her we could all dress up for dinner and take better pictures, but she was angry at my suggestion. She has not spoken to me and has not spoken to my husband since. He apologized but tried to defend me. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. In comments you said you wore a sports bra to her college graduation, and that you didn't take the time to change because your kids are young and wanted mom. You prioritized them over the 10 minutes you would have needed to be more presentable to your stepdaughter's major life event. Everyone sucks here. Honestly, I'm not buying that you forgot what you were wearing. You are wearing school colors, so it seems like you were hoping to stay in that outfit. She is overreacting, of course. It's silly to ban you from future events. Am I the a-hole because I didn't give my coworker a ride home? Thursday I was leaving work and this guy I work with, Jim, called my name, asked if I was leaving. I said yeah. He asked if I'd give Lisa a ride home because she was having car trouble. Lisa was standing right there, so it was kinda weird, like why couldn't she ask herself? I asked where she lived. She was going in the complete opposite direction of where I live. So I said no and went home. This is a retail job and was 3 to 4 in the afternoon, so it's not like she was standing in the parking lot in the middle of the night. The store would be open another 8 hours. I didn't think it was a big deal. Well, at work yesterday my coworker Rob said, I heard Lisa asked you to give her a ride and you said no. I said Lisa didn't even ask me, Jim did. But yay. He said, dude, that's mean. I said she was going in the complete opposite direction I was, and she barely even talks to me besides when she's commenting on my purchases. He said, so what? She needed help. Would you have given a friend a ride if it was out of the way? I said yay. He said, see, you just didn't want to help Lisa because you don't like her. That's a jerk move. It's true that I don't like Lisa, and I would have given a friend a ride to where she was going, but that's because they're a friend. By that same logic, why didn't Lisa ask a friend? In the past I've felt like Lisa talks down to me because I'm younger than her. She's a cashier, and usually when I go on break she's the only cashier that's open, so I have to go to her to check out. I bring a sandwich to work, and will buy chips or something else to eat with it on my first break, then on my second I get a candy bar or something. Lisa constantly makes comments about it. Junk food again, don't you ever eat anything healthy? You should have an apple. Do your parents know you eat this much junk food at work? I'm 22, so that made no sense. I eat plenty healthy when I'm not working, but that's none of her business, she's not my dietitian. Then a month or so ago I bought a new TV. I was talking to someone about it on break, Lisa was in there and butted in, you won't be able to spend like that when you're an adult and you move out, you'll have bills to pay. I don't live at home, and again, 22. I just didn't want to have to drive 15 minutes in the opposite direction for someone that never even talks to me besides to talk to me like a 12-year-old. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Having the same employer doesn't mean you need to be a personal Uber for your coworkers. If people want the friend treatment, they can put in effort to actually be your friend first, and not just because they need something. Lol. You're the a-hole. You never know when you might need a hand. It's not enough to just help our friends. We need to help strangers and sometimes people who aren't even deserving. This could have turned the tide in your relationship with her. You two could have had the chance to see a different side and let some of the chilly attitude go away. Am I the a-hole for going off on my wife after she made a sex sign to keep my mom from knocking on our bedroom door? So I've been married to my wife for 4 years. We have a medium-sized apartment. For the last 2 months, my mother has been staying off and on in our guest room. My dad recently passed away and it's hard for her to live in their house alone, so I've been letting her stay with us. My wife and her have never particularly got along, but I expected her to understand why it's important to me that she overlooked this just for a little while. I mean, she lost her husband of 40 years, she's fragile, and I really want to be able to do what I can to make her feel better. My mom's presence has changed our routine a little bit. Mainly our nighttime routine. She'll usually come knock on our door to talk. My wife hates this, partially because it interrupts our intimacy. Usually when she's over we just don't make love. So this past week I noticed my mom wasn't coming in at night. So we had normal nighttime habits. Yesterday mom pulled me aside and told me that the sign I let my wife put on the door at night was disgusting and not something she ever needed to know. She also said that she was very hurt that I don't want to speak to her since I'm all she has left now. I told her I had no idea what she was talking about. She said the sign about sex. I still had no idea and talked to my wife about it when she got home. She admitted to it. She said that she made a sign to keep my mom out of our hair at nights. On the sign was written, "Please do not disturb unless you want to see me fricking your son." She thought it was funny, was necessary, but I was mad about it. I took the sign, crumpled it up and tossed it in the garbage. I then went off on my wife about how inappropriate embarrassing this was. She told me it's my fault that we needed this and it's just joke. I slept on the couch last night and she's still pissed at me. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. You need to set boundaries with your mother and not let her intrude on your marriage. My mother is my best friend, and when my father died after 46 years of marriage, she wouldn't dream of intruding on me like this. The sign might have been crass, but it sounds like your wife has had enough. Not the a-hole, that note was straight trashy. But, you should have established some boundaries with your mom. It makes sense that she needs a little more of your time right now, and it's nice that she can stay with you to help with the adjustment. But when the bedroom door is shut, your mom shouldn't be coming in. Am I the a-hole for getting mad that I wasn't invited to my ex-wife's wedding? My ex-wife and I were together for 7 years and we have 2 daughters together, ages 5 years old and 3 years old. Shortly after the birth of our 3-year-old we broke up in a kind of civil manner. Few months after our breakup she met her current fiancé and they started dating. Once our divorce was finalized a year after that they got engaged. Overall, due to the fact that I'm the father of 2 children that I have with her and I've been in her family for 7 years, I have a pretty great relationship with her family and I still get invited to family gatherings. I can tell my ex is not too happy about it, but she sucks it up for the sake of the kids and her family. Now they're planning their wedding for some time and they just gave out invites. I wasn't included. Our daughters were, but I wasn't. I contacted her family, mainly her sisters and her mom, and I expressed how upset I am that I'm excluded from the wedding, and I'm even more upset that they didn't do something about it. They say that it's not up to them and it's the couple's decision, and they wish they had me there, but they don't want to piss my ex-wife off by going against her wishes. Later my ex called me and scolded me for calling her family to complain and asked me why I feel entitled to an invite to her wedding. I told her that I still feel like part of the family, and it's weird that I'm invited to all these family gatherings but excluded from this one, and I think we can be civil and supportive towards each other. I also feel like it will be a good thing for our kids to see us being so supportive, and me being in the wedding sends a good message. We are still co-parenting after all, and we have a decent kind of relationship despite our breakup, and I don't see a reason to be excluded since I'm still a big part of her life since we share 2 kids. She said I'm very entitled for this and that it's ridiculous how I got mad that I, as an ex, was not invited to the wedding, and that she doesn't owe me that. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. You say yourself that your ex-wife isn't happy you're included in her family gatherings. Of course you're not invited to her wedding. You're being weird calling her family and complaining about it. Not the a-hole for expressing your desires to be included in a family change and expressing your desires of what you would like to see for your kids. As parent, I think this is a great idea. However, it is another couple's day that you have a big history with, and that can be a cause of contention, and maybe they want a very traditional ceremony, and that will have to be okay if that's their choice. You're the a-hole for not accepting that. In the long term, this may not be the place you want to put that energy. Give them their day, or suggest maybe you could stay for the ceremony and part of the reception, then take your children home so that adults can relax. But their day, their way, that is kind of how it should be.